Kizamde, hop on the beat!
Welcome back to another JoJo chapter review. This time we're taking a look at chapter 38 of the JoJoLands titled Usagi Fraud and Suspicion Part 6. Last time we reached the end of the stand battle against the Point Blank Seals, with Usagi reuniting with his mother and Dragona apprehending the stand user. This month we start off with a monologue about rocks. It describes how early humans would use rocks for various purposes, with them becoming tools for human expression. It says that rocks are the start of human civilization, and created the flow of systems that make up society. It alludes to the lava rock by saying that the only thing that could alter the flow of systems is another mechanism from a rock. I find this bit really interesting, and I feel like it's one of those pages I'll see myself revisiting over the years whenever I discuss the power of mechanisms or the flow in a future video. Lately, Araki seems to be drawing a lot of attention to rocks as a source of power. Obviously with the lava rocks in part 9, and this universe including the Devil's Palm and Walleyes as sources of power that come from the ground. But this idea really goes back much further, with things like the Stand Arrow, Stone Mask, and Redstone of Asia all fitting into that same idea. Ever since the first chapter, part 9 has had a heavy focus on mechanisms, so I'm looking forward to learning more. We move on to Rohan and Morio, who is visited by his editor Kyoka, who makes her main series debut. If you didn't know, Kyoka has been depicted as Rohan's editor starting in the Thus Spoke Kashibe Rohan chapter Millionaire Village, and has appeared as a recurring element of Rohan's stories over the years. She had a greatly expanded role in the Rohan TV drama, which had her appear in every episode as a secondary lead, and I believe that's actually part of the reason Araki began including her in chapters again. Her new outfit here appears to be partially inspired by her look in the newest TV drama episode, which had her as the main character with an original story written with Araki's involvement. He hands her a manuscript for his newest chapter containing revisions for the dialogue. The dialogue changes are all made to the main character, Pink Dark Boy, and appear to be mostly the same as the original dialogue with small differences. This pretty much confirms my thought that the code Rohan is leaving for Jodio to the location of the lava rock would be found in his manga. He seemed to be aware of the possibility of the enemy monitoring them over the phone earlier, which is why he's handing the changes directly to Kyoka here. We come back to the gang who have begun interrogating the enemy stand user. In a callback to the torture dance from part 5, Dragona, Paco, and Jodio beat him up while listening to the song Funiculi Funicula. This is a traditional Neapolitan song written in 1880, and I'm fairly certain everyone watching this video has heard it before since it's pretty much the most stereotypically Italian song of all time. The torture dance in Part 5's manga wasn't set to any specific song, although the anime adaptation used some choreography inspired by Michael Jackson's Dangerous and set it to a track that took inspiration from the Prince song Pussy Control. In this case though, we have the original lyrics of the song written out with Paco singing it, which is pretty funny. I wondered what the significance of the song may be, and looking into it, it was actually written to celebrate the opening of the first funicular roadway on Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius is of course a famous volcano in Italy which erupted in 79 AD, causing the Pompeii disaster. This part's connection to volcanoes is pretty significant, so I wouldn't be surprised if this were an intentional cute reference. The enemy gives in and tells them that his name is Mundra. Like many of the other enemies in Part 9, his name is based on a port city, this time one located in India. He admits that his role was as reconnaissance, and that one of the people he's working with had Usagi's sister Tori placed in one of the emergency vehicles and driven away, which he says is heading for Diamond Head. Diamond Head is a volcanic crater located on the island, which was notably the location of Fort Ruger, the first US military reservation in Hawaii, which is actually located inside the crater. He says that everything done up to now, including the cyber scam and his stand attack, was done to verify that the lava rock actually exists. He alludes to a certain person who has been looking for the lava rock for a long time. Their plan is to use Tori as a bargaining chip in exchange for the location of the lava rock if the gang is able to crack Rohan's code. They notice that Mundra is wearing an ankle monitor, and he reveals that he is actually serving a prison sentence for having poisoned a rich elderly woman, which he claims happened after the spirits created by his stand pushed him to do it. The person he mentioned earlier offered him a plea deal in exchange for acting in the operation. As they start to wonder who the enemy is, Meryl May chimes in over the phone. She tells them they need to leave the zoo and head for the underground parking lot, as well as sever communication since they've been under surveillance for the past 6 months. She theorizes that the new enemy must have been one of the Marines that boarded Howler's mega yacht before. Throughout Part 9 so far, I've found the repeated mentions of the American government pretty interesting, with the actions of a congressman and later an executive order from the president putting Howler's assets under military control. Obviously, anything involving the US government is going to allude back to Funny Valentine, and I've always wondered what the current state of the sort of alternate history America is supposed to be like in this universe. It looks like we're finally going to see something like that since the new enemy mastermind is affiliated with the US government in some way, apparently having the authority to cut down Mundra's life sentence. If not the president himself, I suspect the enemy could be some kind of general or military official, which would fit with what Meryl says about them being among the soldiers on Howler's yacht, and the new mention of Diamond Head possibly meaning that Tori is being taken to a military base. Meryl tells them that they need to focus on getting the lava rock to be able to save Tori. They point out that Usagi is in critical condition, having completely lost his foot in the last chapter, but Meryl May assures them that they'll understand once they're at the parking lot. I assume this means that Meryl's private Dr. Roberts is going to return and be waiting for them to treat Usagi. As they leave, Jodio tells Mundra that he feels bad for him. He says that only one person is meant to possess the lava rock and warns that he should run since it's clear his bosses don't trust him. Once Mundra is alone, we see 2 rods of light descend from the sky before combining and shaping themselves into a simple humanoid figure. It moves towards Mundra, placing one of its legs on top of his foot. It is shown to become covered in bumps on one side, with a series of holes then appearing along the side of Mundra's body, splitting him in half. It does the same with the other side, breaking his body apart completely. The chapter ends with the figure returning to its previous form and floating away, with Mundra admiring its beauty as he dies. This was an amazing chapter. As always with the aftermath of a stand battle, this is when we start to get a lot of information, but this chapter was simply crazy with the amount we got. We got not only some new lore-building material involving the mechanisms, but also some further development of the Rohan plotline and a brief glimpse of Morio. The proper introduction of a new faction at work and the involvement of the US government greatly upping the stakes, and the appearance of a new and frankly terrifying stand ability. I have to say that I honestly think this new Light Rod stand is one of the best designs that Araki has come up with in years. And that's coming from someone with a huge love for many of the Part 9 protagonist stands. The way it moves and behaves feels completely alien and unlike anything I've seen in JoJo before, which again is saying something from a series which I have always said manages to surprise me each month it releases. This stick figure-like design manages to be funny, cute, and intimidating all in one, with its total lack of emotion and incredibly destructive ability. As for how this ability actually functions, I can't really say for certain. The thing that immediately stands out to me is the series of bumps that appear along the stand's body and the shape of the wounds on Mundra. Both of them are circular and correspond to the same side of both, so I wonder if perhaps once the stand makes contact with you, changes along its body will appear on yours but inverted, as if the spherical bumps pressed into Mundra's body and carved out holes. Although I do have my doubts about that, since with this attack being so destructive, I wouldn't really see the point in it taking any other shape. As for the potential weaknesses of the stand, I believe based on the way it acts that it functions automatically, and requires some kind of support to find a target. Mundra is conveniently wearing an ankle monitor in this scene, which is on the same foot that the stand appears to be drawn to when it launches its first attack, so if its movements are so straightforward, it may be possible to stay away from it. Until we can understand the real method of the attack though, I'm still not sure if there's any way to prevent it if it actually touches you. I am extremely excited to see how they could possibly deal with this stand and what kind of user it's going to belong to as we move into the next arc. That's about everything new for today. This time I tried a bit of a different format by having my analysis interspersed into the recap, so let me know if you like that format better. In other JoJo news, we of course got the full reveal of the Steel Ball Run anime returning with the second and third stage in September, so check out my full video to get my thoughts and analysis on that. If you want to stay updated on my new videos, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. You can also join the Hum and Beat Discord to be notified about new uploads and chapter releases. Finally, I'd appreciate if you help support the channel on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member. All supporters get featured in the credits and can submit viewer questions which I go over in my main videos. Thank you for watching. This is the part of the video when I thank my $5 and up patrons and members. Thank you to Doorbell, Crayon, RigoVids, Pumpkin Doge, Sponge Cake, Cakext, Feliciano Rabaja, Christian McDonough, Pulse Dog, Rob Goliath, Gold, Red Hot Mayonnaise, Zenkai, Keenan, Saint Bobo, John Garcia, Crank and Plank, Fran Studios, Shin Megami Tensei Film Reviews, Griffiono, Fiddlehead, Justice, Joao Marchins, Danilo K, Kali, Javier's Milk, Billy the Corgi, Time Lord, Moist Daddy Tom, Daisuke, Artist 9398, Monkey 15, Conti Goat, Holy Peanut, Negef, Pluto of Pluto, and As 204K.